We always had a suspicion that the Liberals wanted to have more government control. They would rather more spending, more government-decided industry leading the way, if you will, rather than private industry selling to the marketplace. We saw this during the pandemic. 40% of what they decide to print and borrow had nothing to do with COVID, but was couched in the language of COVID. Right? So you saw their, I think, true agenda, which is massive amounts of spending, buying votes, and on the other side, you saw what happened when the protests were in Ottawa. I think that also showed the other side that they have no problem using the maximum force of government to quell any dissent to their agenda. Couple that with C-11, the censorship bill, and many others. I think this kind of, for all to see, their true colors.
Many of the people that write into my office, and I'm sure many MPs' offices, suggest that this is a very socialist agenda. When government tells the Canadians, you know what, we have a better idea. We will look after you. Canadians need to realize that government can't give you anything they haven't taken from you first.
Exactly.
Right, we all know that saying, and it's so true.
The government's causing the problem, then trying to swoop in with a so-called solution. And of course,
it's a recipe for danger.
Yes.
It is creating such fear in this country that I'm having constituents, and I have, as you know, Jamie, a very large social media following. And I've got people from all corners of this country really debating whether or not they want to continue to live in this country.
Right.
And we shouldn't be having this discussion in the 21st century. The danger of this government rhetoric taking away our fundamental freedoms, taking away our constitutional rights, the whole aftermath of the convoy movement and the actions taken by this government, with an expectation that, and Glen and I, as you know, are both on the Joint Parliamentary Committee to study the invocation of the Emergencies Act, and we had the Rouleau Commission, but there's still one piece of a crucial piece of evidence that's still outstanding out there, and that is, by what legal authority did you exercise the right to invoke this particular act?
Yes.
And to Justice Rouleau, when he asked Justice Lametti that same question, Justice Lametti said, well, I can't deliver that. And Justice Rouleau's comments are, well, I guess we're going to have to trust you. Canadians do not trust this government. And that is a really sad statement for a MP to be making at this point.
But it's true.
But it is true.
And nothing to see here. If we don't talk about it, then nothing's happening. If we don't get caught, then it didn't happen. Like, people are expecting a government to be accountable to them who elected them.
What we don't want is a prime minister who is caught in a crisis where clearly there's been a breakdown of accountability to look Canadians in the face and say that this is a learning moment.
Yeah.
For all of us.
For all of us. Well, I didn't create this
problem. We didn't create the mess.
That's a learning opportunity for you.
And it really begs the question. Happens once, I can understand. Maybe twice, I can understand it. When you have a series of significant senior ministers who, for whatever reason, somehow are not funneled the information that impacts this nation on a myriad of issues involving a number of ministers, it really begs the question, what really is contained in these mandate letters that this prime minister delivered? Is it, if there's a crisis, you want to insulate yourself so that you can tell Canadians, I wasn't aware of it. Someone else didn't deliver the message. Okay, that's not accountability. That is not transparency. The latest being Minister
Some
Mendocino,
nameless, faceless person,
right?
somewhere,
the buck
somewhere
stops with him. He is the head of that Ministry of Public Safety. If he can't do the right thing and resign, he has completely lost the trust. Lost the trust of this House. He's lost the trust of Canadians.
My most laughable part of this whole session, I know everyone's different. We talked about our favorites, and I don't necessarily in all seriousness, but was when Justin Trudeau was at a panel at Ottawa University and basically saying, well, I didn't tell anyone to get vaccinated. I didn't tell anyone that there'd be consequences. Like, what kind of revisionist history are we talking about now?
Selective memory.
That is unbelievable. Yes. And nobody on that stage challenged him.
No.
Nobody said,
Why
well,
would you?
what
Why
about...
would you challenge the prime minister?
yeah.
Right.
And the crowd just, I can't remember what conference he was at or where he was speaking. I know there's an Ottawa University background, but nobody said, I think you got that wrong. And nobody in the media followed up too and said, what are you talking about? You grounded people.
Yeah.
But that's mine.
I can see our host is completely frustrated, as are these two members
I
of
know,
Parliament
I know.
frustrated, as are millions of Canadians. It is time for change.
Yep.
It is time for an open, honest, transparent, accountable government led by our leader, Pierre Poilievre.
And when government is not having their number one priority is to maximize their citizens' freedoms, we have a problem, and we definitely have a problem with Justin Trudeau.
Indeed, we do.